And welcome everybody to the next episode of Mac Yak, number 90. So we're only 10 episodes away from that big 100. So we're going to do something special for that, guys. Yeah, all of us show up. So first off, how's the audio going? How's the audio tonight? Make sure we can hear everybody tonight. Because I know last week it worked perfect. uh, it's actually something new because there's only four of us, and Jay only made me a 5, 6, and 7 cutout. Exactly. He's not here, so I could do it. So, yes, it's the Big Sur background. Oh. Oh. It says 89. Okay. All right. Blame me. It's supposed to be 90, but oh well. We're gonna go with that. I can't hear anyone. Let's see here. All right, can you hear? Can you hear them now? Yep. We're making sure the audio is working here, so let's bear with us. Ah, what the hell is going on with this thing?
They're saying they can only hear you.
All right, can you hear you, Steve?
Eep, quack, boop, eep. Sorry, how was that intentional?
Hold on.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, hold on.
They're saying only GT.
All right, hold on a second. You know why it is? Because I usually go off of Jay's, but Jay's not here, so.
Again, throwing Jay under the bus. Second time.
Oh,
First
okay.
one.
Now they can hear
Me.
at least.
Well,
I hear you all.
All right, there we
Okay.
go.
yeah, so this is actually
Hooray.
show 90. Don't pay attention to the overlay that says 89.
Yes, this is stream number 90. It says 89, but
Yeah,
don't watch.
That dog,
Yeah.
Greg.
Yeah,
we'll fix it in the thumbnail.
that's not the overlay you were supposed to see.
You have to go into Photoshop and fix it.
It's not the overlay you were looking for.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the
They go
overlay
better.
you were looking for. All right, guys. So this is going to be a basically free for all question and answer show tonight
We're
because
pulling a Grudy.
we're pulling a Grudy. So we don't have any topics. We don't have anything, but there's only four of us here, so we decided, let's go ahead and just
We'll do it live.
yeah. Well, a lot of these guys wanted to go ahead and cancel it, and I was like, no, we need to have it tonight. We do it every Thursday night, and we want you guys to be here. So I know Bruce is in the chat there, but he could have been here.
Yeah, it's exactly how he wants to spend his relaxing
I
days.
know. That's all right. That's all right. We're good to go because you guys took care of me when I was moving. So, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, one thing we do want to announce tonight before we get started is that Steve has some good news about Unreal Tournament. So, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, so for you, those of you who watch our show, we're quite partial to Unreal Tournament, the old first-person shooter game. Particularly the 2004 version, because it runs on most Macs. But the 1999 version, which is the original one, it's people call it the Game of the Year edition or the 99 edition, because that's where it came out in 1999. But that version was released for Mac OS 9, the classic Mac OS. And there were plans to port it to OS 10, but there was a beta, but there's another beta, but it never really went anywhere, not officially. It was always, after those betas, it was just sort of abandoned. But this group last year, oldunreal.org, I believe it is, I'm sorry, oldunreal.com, announced that they were going to take a stab at porting the game to newer systems. Now, it ran okay on Windows. You needed some patches and stuff for it, but I'm putting the link in the chat here. And essentially, what you do is you have to have your original CD or your original install because you're going to go to that website, that forum post, and you're going to click on that README link for the instructions. You got to read it because unlike Jay, you can't just skim through it.
Throwing Jay under the bus third time.
Hey, he's not here.
Oops. I tried to turn on Do Not Disturb and I made my phone ring. Anyway, you basically have to read the instructions there And what it tells you is you download the new patch, which basically has the executable and a few other files, but you have to drag everything else from the application, your maps, your sounds, your textures, all that stuff. So you have to drag all that stuff over to the show package contents on the app and all that stuff. And you can play it, and it runs fantastically. You just need a Mavericks compatible Mac, so 10.9 or up. Apparently runs on Catalina also, which is good news for anybody with a newer computer. But yeah, this is something I've been playing a long time on Macs and Windows, and I was actually doing a video to install a UT99 server on an old G4, and I'm thinking, oh, I'll just do a quick little vlog thing, and yeah, it turned into like 5-6 hours of me pulling out my hair because Scuzzy wants to be Scuzzy, and yeah, that was fun. But you don't have to deal with that anymore. Just go to the link I put in the chat, oldunreal.com. Go to the forum. It's not yet in their download section. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun if you're into that. It's a blast from the past.
Yep. I'm gonna have to try it on Catalina, and I'll try it on Big Sur also, Steve, just to see if it makes sure it works on both of those.
Yeah, I'm sure if it works on Mojave and it's not 32-bit, I'm sure it shouldn't have a problem with Catalina.
Well,
or Big
I want to test
you know.
on those two because those are strictly 64-bit. Because remember, Mojave also actually is 32-bit capable.
Yeah, but I'm guessing if they say it's Catalina compatible, I mean, that's a good way to test it, though, because I can't do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm running Catalina on this system that I'm broadcasting off of, but on my MacBook Pro, I have an external hard drive that I'm beta testing Big Sur on, so I'll try it on there.
Yeah, so, I mean, I always like seeing these companies, or not a company in this case, is actually all fans. You know, all these people just volunteering to make this game run on a newer OS, which is great because, you know, Maxsoft did an okay port of it, you know, back in the day, but they never did it for OS 10. So
Yeah.
not a final one anyway. And it'll be cool to keep that going. Unfortunately, it's funny, 2004 version can't run on Catalina, but the 1999 version now can.
Yeah.
So thanks to all the volunteers and everybody who did
I
that.
want to see him.
Great
I
job.
want to see him get the 04 one working because that's the one we play the most.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to do that. I mean,
If they did it to
I
99, they got to be able to do it.
well, I think with 99, they actually approached Epic Games and they granted them a license to actually improve it. And it was this whole thing where they actually handed over the code and everything to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's how. I mean, I don't know if that works for 2004 or whatever, but I think because that was so old, maybe they didn't care. But,
Yeah. So.
But I mean, it's good because I mean, not to just keep talking about Unreal, but the third one was supposed to come out for the Mac, and they kept saying coming soon. It never did. So.
Well, Steve, we got about an hour and 20 something minutes. We still got to go, so we could talk as much as you want about Unreal.
I'll pause for now. We can
Speaking of which,
later.
if you guys want to check it out, we do have a Facebook group called what is it, Vintage Gaming, or on Vintage?
Power PC
No, it's not Power PC Gaming Lounge anymore. It's Vintage Gaming
Oh.
on Mac or something like that. I can't.
Shows what I know.
Is it? Oh, I
Yeah,
know
they
it's
changed. Yeah, they changed the name of it because not only are they allowing Power PC, because it used to be only Power PC, but now they allow Intel Macs as well, because a lot of the Intel Macs are now, you know, vintage,
Vintage
and
Mac Gaming Lounge.
yeah,
That's
Vintage
what it's
Mac Gaming Lounge. So,
Oh. So
if
it
you could
is,
throw a link in there, Steve, appreciate
Yep,
it.
just did.
Yeah, go and check that out. A lot of us, that's where we all kind of met to start this show off, was on that particular Facebook group. So I know we played the other night, and Dana and I got our butts spanked. Steve and Jay, man, they were just killing everybody. Well, Steve actually, I think,
started
won the
out doing
most.
pretty well. It was
Dana-
funny
Dana
because
Dana
everybody
was-
got better as it went on, and I got worse.
Yeah, I think that's what was happening to me too. I think I was getting worse. But I play on a G5, so I really like playing on that, and the frame rate on that thing was just awesome. So I don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. That it's funny that, you know, I mean, it happens with a lot of these games. If it has a popular enough backing, sometimes they get re-released. I mean, on the PC side, I think it's much easier to do that. Obviously, from 68K to PowerPC, from PowerPC to Intel, from OS 9 to OS 10 to ARM and all this crap. I think all the old Mac software, you sort of have to have the hardware to run it. But I guess on Windows it makes re-releases a bit easier.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. All right, so I think we should just throw it over to the audience there. You guys need to ask us some questions. This is supposed to be a Q&A.
Well, we did get a question, a suggestion for a topic. Wow, I can't speak. Recent additions to the collection. So anybody who picked up anything recently? Or
Well, I actually picked up something through
some parts?
Steve. And we talked about that last week. The Apple IIe with the disk drive.
And it's sitting right over here. Now I did do a test. I did plug in that Apple IIe. It does say the kernel is okay, so it does pass the test.
Did you try the disk
No
drive?
reefer smoke?
Did you try the disk
What
drive?
did you say? No, I did not, but I will do that next. I didn't have a floppy it could boot from.
Uh,
No
up
reefer
here.
smoke or anything like that?
No magic smoke, which is good. But
so whatever
I wouldn't have been surprised.
whatever floppy games you have, you're gonna have to make some copies for me so I can.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a copy of ADT Pro, which will let you copy anything over a serial connection. So at least you'll have something. But the machine I was using to do that, that went up in smoke. That reefer cap popped. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do
really?
it. I think I gave Mike my ADT Pro disc before it did.
Yeah.
But
But
You need a copy of it.
I can't wait to actually.
I thought I did.
I can't actually wait to get that system so I need to make a plans to go up to see Steve because Steve and I only live about 4.5 hours away from each other roughly.
only 4
Yeah.
hours.
So I have to make it a day trip or either we meet in the middle somewheres or I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to ship it and get it. Have it
No,
get banged
no,
around.
no. I do not want no. I'd rather you hold on to it and because I know it's safe there. So just keep it away from Grudy's stuff because then they'll get blood on it.
Grudy's Apple II is on the other side of the
About
basement.
Wii, Steve?
Yeah,
Oh, the one I tried to steal from you?
yeah. Mike saw it. He tried to steal you.
Oh, someone goes, don't copy that floppy. I'm pretty sure none of this software we're using is pretty much it's abandonware.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anyone's selling this stuff still.
Well, I'm pretty screwed because I think I just copied about 120 different floppies
I think the police
because
sirens
I
are
have to
the
transfer
distance
everything
from
onto my IBM 1.4 megs at a time.
And I actually have a bunch of floppies that was donated to me. It's got a bunch of PC stuff on it, so we can erase all that. And
Are they
I could
double
see what's on
density?
that's two, yeah. And then you could archive it. See, that's what I should do. I should bring you all those floppies, have you archive them, and you bring me new floppies, with Apple IIe stuff on it. So
Sounds good. Mike and I'll have a copy party.
there you go.
Greg, are they
got-
double density or high
There's
density?
a bunch of different ones.
Because if they're high density, they won't work on the Apple II.
Ah.
Mm.
So
We got some questions here. What are you going to first run on your Apple II, Greg?
Don't know. The last time I actually touched one, a used one, was in high school, and that was back in the early '80s. So that was I was in high school from '81 to '84. So yeah, it's been a while since I think Typing Tutor was what we had on it. So and it had the old green phosphor screen on it. Didn't have a color screen. So but yeah, that's the last time I touched an Apple II, and I don't even think that was Apple IIe. I think that was just an Apple II, if I remember correctly. It's been, like I said, it's been over 30 something years. So
It's been a long time for me. I haven't touched one in years.
so Christopher says, do you recommend buying used 800K floppies from eBay?
Oh, if they're cheap enough. I mean, don't go
Can't
spend
guarantee
a
they'll
fortune.
all work, but
Exactly. That's the thing. Don't spend a fortune because
Especially used ones.
can't guarantee.
Well, even
Yeah.
new boxed ones, sometimes they're not going to work either because they've been
Yeah.
sitting around for years and years. And
I had a box of. Thankfully, they weren't 800K discs, so it wasn't anything too valuable. But they were high density discs, and there were think there was a slit in the top of the plastic wrapping, but the box was sealed otherwise, so there was no way they could have opened it. And there was like mold inside, so wherever it was stored was all damp, and there was mold developed between
Oh man.
the protective sleeve of the floppy and the actual metallic thingy.
So
and,
it
yeah,
really
was-
destroyed
had
that
to
flop.
toss
Yeah,
it.
it probably really destroyed it. Yeah, that's not good.
I couldn't copy that floppy.
Let's see. Next question I see from Justin Morgan. What are some of your favorite YouTube channels, not your own, that we should check out? Well, we did this a while back, a few episodes ago, I think. We talked about some of our favorite, but we could talk about it again. In fact, I was just watching right before the show Adrian's Digital Basement. That's one of
that's a good
that's
one.
a good one because he's been doing a lot of the Tan September or whatever, Septandy or whatever, and he's been doing a lot of TI-99 stuff. And I used to own a TI-99 4A when I was a teenager, so I've been watching a lot of the stuff he's been doing on the TI-99 stuff. When he fixed one, I mean, he took a dead one and fixed it. So I was like, man, that's impressive.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw the latest one I saw from him. He had an old television that somebody was just tossing out. It was I think it was like a black and white little TV, and I think he was fixing it up for like a machine or something like that. And yeah, it would just he like went all through the whole thing and used this rejuvenator thingy for the CRT and got it working. I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. So that's.
Well, he does.
That was pretty
I mean, he doesn't do a lot of Apple stuff. I mean, but he does a lot of old vintage computer stuff, and that's what I like about it.
I think how I found him was it was around the time I got all those compact Macs from the e-waste place. I think he got a bunch too. I don't know where he got them from, but it was just like timing, and he just like went through doing repairs on them for like a bunch of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember somebody in the chat of one of my live streams was mentioning, hey, you should go check him out. So I subscribed to him. I'm one of those people where I'll subscribe to a bunch of people, and then I'll go and sit my butt on the couch and open up the YouTube app on the Apple TV. And if I just happen to look at them, I'll watch it. Otherwise, sometimes I don't see it.
Yeah. What's some other channels you guys like?
Well, it depends. Do you want to see tech channels, or you want to see?
Well, I mean, anything.
Something
Any channel. He said the question was any channels, not our own channels. So Dana Does Stuff is not.
Yeah, I watch a lot of non-tech related channels. I think like one of them that I mentioned before was Auto Auction Rebuilds. I watched that one. Guy will buy, used cars from Copart and fix them up, and then he's partnered with the guy that he sells them with. And he used to be an Uber driver, and he had his YouTube channel was all based around, how to make money as a Uber driver. And and then when that soured, he changed over to this format, and now he's just moved into a new house. He's built himself a shop. He's got a brand new Dodge Hellcat, and he just dude's doing really well for himself. So it's been fun to follow him along the whole way. Tech related stuff, obviously I watch the 8-bit guy.
Oh, I think everybody
Adrian.
watches him.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to bring my subscriptions. Somebody else go.
Mike,
what's the
what about you?
What's the Australian dude? Not Bruce, but the other Australian EV blog. Yeah, EV. Yeah. I watch a lot of his stuff because he's funny. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
So especially when he has mail call and he breaks out the knife because he has one of those big knives like Crocodile Dundee. It looks like, and that's what he uses to open his packages. Yeah. So he's pretty funny. And it's funny because I watched an episode of his one time, and he goes dumpster diving. He went in and found an oscilloscope that somebody had thrown out because it didn't power up. And you know what was wrong with it? The power connector on the inside came off. He put it back on, and everything worked perfect. He didn't have any of the leads or anything for it, but it booted up fine and everything worked. And I was like, man, he was like, that's almost an $18,000 oscilloscope that somebody just tossed in the garbage, you know?
That's like just going around the rich neighborhoods on trash day.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny about that? In Germany, they have a day called Junking Day where, because the taxes that they have to get rid of stuff in their household or otherwise they get taxed on it. So we used to, as soldiers, we used to go around and get like furniture and stuff, you know, because that was the cheap way to do it because it was out on the curb. If it was out on the curb, it was free, you know.
Mike, what about some channels that you watch besides ours?
Well, I watch Steve, of course. I'd watch Dana if he actually did it.
He's not doing it much stuff, right?
No, I watch LGR. I've been watching him since he first started him as 12, 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And another one I love, I watched this guy who played Doom. His name is Decino. I think he's located somewhere in Eastern Europe. So it's fun watching him die. And yeah, I watch a lot of the tech stuff, but I also watch a lot of automotive channels too, like Vice Grip Garage and Junkyard Digs, stuff like that. Sometimes just for entertainment value more than, I mean, obviously I don't need to know what they're doing. It's just sometimes it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Them.
Oh, it's a lot of fun just watching somebody else do something.
Well,
it's fun to see them get those old cars that have been sitting for 20 years, you know, in a matter of hours they have them running. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, the guys on Junkyard Digs just dug out a 71 Olds Cutlass from a storage shed. It took them 4 days to get it running from a seized motor to driving. Yeah. I was like, geez, I'm so jealous. I'd love to have that car.
I'm logging into my YouTube account that I have plugged into the TV. All right, so Techmoan is one I watch a lot.
Watched him.
Hilarious.
What's the other guy that does he does a lot of vintage stuff. I can't think of his name.
Nostalgia Nerd?
No, not I watch him too. In fact, I watched an episode he just had about Microsoft stealing Stacker.
Oh, the disk compression.
Yeah.
I watched that right before the show.
If what I like about Techmoan is a lot of these creators, like they'll do a Patreon or whatever, but sometimes you don't get anything good unless you like give them $10 a month, which is a little much. But with him, it's like you give him $1 and he'll do these like hilarious like channel updates, which is what I sort of try to make mine. And it's just him ranting for like an hour, and I'm just sitting there laughing my butt off the entire time because it's just fantastic. You know, he'll be like, we're going off tangent, but who
Justin
cares?
got it. Justin got the one I was looking for. Technology Connections. That's.
Oh yeah, he's really. I know Mike watches him too. He does a lot of.
I know you probably watched a lot of his because he did some on the laser disc and the CED disc.
For the longest time, I was thinking to myself before I had the Mac 84 channel, I'm like, I'm going to do a documentary or a video about Laserdisc. Then he did it, and I'm like, well, I don't got to do that no more. He covered everything.
Yeah, but he did he does some real professional stuff. Now,
oh yeah,
one person we should mention on here, because he's actually been on our show before, is Crazy Ken, our computer. Computer Clan.
Matter of fact, I'm wearing one of his shirts.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So
I'm looking at my list here. So I have that. I have Sean from Action Retro. He was on our show before too.
Sean.
So that's always fun. LGR, as Mike mentioned. I'm just looking at my list. Already mentioned Tecmo, the 8-bit guy. Retro Man Cave is one of them. Let's see.
This is Frankus Creations. I thought I unsubscribed.
Frankus, what? What a weird
name. That's the ones you give the thumbs down to all the time, right? So Bruce, now we know who the thumbs down is on your channel.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the thumbs down guy.
Oh boy, what else? Do I have
How to Basic.
John...
I watch How to Basic.
How to Basics is hilarious. It's more of a video game thing, but there's a guy, John Riggs, JOHNRIGGS, and he just does he'll try and repair video game cartridges, stuff like that. Very chill videos. I think that's all that I'm really seeing here.
All right. So next question here is. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
One last one. This does not compute.
Ah,
that's a good
yes,
one.
that's a good one.
Oh
He
yeah.
recently trash picked a Apple IIe. That was pretty neat to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, he does quite a bit of.
Is
Apple
that the
stuff.
guy in England? Or no, I'm thinking It's My Natural
No,
Color.
that's
That's
He's
well,
the one,
that's
right.
another good
He
one.
does.
Yeah.
He hasn't done
stuff.
much in a
bit
long time.
long-winded, but I really
he hasn't
enjoy
done
the
much in a
videos.
long time though. No,
Isn't
he hasn't.
You could say the same
Yeah.
about me.
Well, same about me, and I'm still getting subscribers on my channel, so I don't know. I guess it's that open core video. I don't know. So next question by Action Retro: what are your favorite old internet sites pre 2000-ish?
Hamster dams.
Man, I got to think back a long ways for that.
Albino Black Sheep.
Joe
and,
Cartoon.
I think this is like GeoCities time, and Yahoo was the only search engine before. This is before Google, So, I mean, you had Yahoo. Remember AOL Instant Messenger? That was your messenger, or MSN Messenger. Excite. Or ICQ.
I remember having Excite as the homepage.
ICQ.
Well, those are more services, I guess, but
pre 2000, I used to actually run a bulletin board. So back in the old 2400 baud days. So I mean, I used to run it was basically made for flight simulators and stuff. So it was back in the day when Flight Sim 4, you could create your own airplanes and stuff, or even scenery, because you had Scenery Designer and Airplane Designer, and I had that program as well. And so I used to host a lot of people's files, and I'd get calls from all over the world to download files for me. But this is back in the day when files are like a couple of K big. But now a file nowadays is, if it ain't a gig, it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
Sean says, "What were all your AIM usernames?"
I had
so many.
I
can't even remember.
I'll type mine in.
I cannot even remember what mine was.
Oh, I just typed one. I remember MacWiz. I had
MacWiz.
That was my old AOL name, MacWiz.
Oh, that could be taken a wrong way a lot of ways.
Well, not whizzing,
like
wizard, yeah.
All right, so I can't pronounce this. Mingo Hagen says favorite BBS from before 1980. Well, can I say my own? But
yes, you've earned it.
No,
before 1980.
My favorite one was a local one that was in my town back in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and it was called Burn City BBS. It was a friend of mine, and he used to run a lot of different games in there. One of them was Global War, or it was like a Risk type game, and we used to play that all the time on there. And it was a turn based, so you take a turn, then you'd log off, you'd log back on later to see if the other person took his turn, And but it was a fun game to play.
I like your name there, Dana. Data 2SI.
Yeah, that's what when I first got AIM, that's the computer I was using.
Mike, do you remember any of your old usernames, like AOL or anything?
My AIM username was Mac Yak Q700.
Nice.
You can imagine what
Was that
kind
before
of
the magazine?
Huh?
Was that before the Mac Addict magazine?
Yeah, before the magazine.
Nice.
So what about?
Dude, I was using a Quadra 700. It should tell you something.
So what about you guys? What's your favorite bulletin board system back in the day?
That was before me.
I was gonna say before some of you were born, right?
Yeah.
I would say before 1980. I was only 2 years old in 1980. For Christ's sakes.
I was 4.
You guys are young and.
What shall you say?
1980. I think I was in freshman year of high school.
Old man.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, I want to try it. Obviously, you get your Apple II. They have Wi-Fi and Ethernet solutions now, but or you could use a serial connection or something. But that's something I always wanted to do is mess around. I mean, I have the equipment to do so. I just never got around.
Well, I wish a lot of people would put their old bulletin board systems on the web, and make it where you could see what it used to look like. I wish I kept mine around on archives. I had it on tape backup, and of course, tape drives, they go bad, and so basically the tape was worthless. So I couldn't restore my BBS to like it used to be, so I kind of lost it all.
Did you still have the tape?
The tape, no, I don't still have the tape.
Oh.
That's long gone.
I actually know where my old BBS is. Hey,
Yeah?
Steve, where's my old BBS?
On the 9500?
You remember the IBM Net Vista I gave you?
Really?
Yes.
I thought you took the hard drives out of those.
Did I?
Those are the two black towers?
Yeah. The one IBM Net Vista, the single processor Pentium 4, it had 2 hard drives wedged in it and it was all rusty on the bottom. That's my BBS.
Oh, they're in my closet. I'll go take a look.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
And actually, if you boot it up, it'll probably boot into Synchronet.
I'm just gonna see if they have hard drives in them because I'm pretty sure you said you took them out, but
Okay, maybe
So he's like,
the last machine I ran my BBS on, actually Steve has. I ran that up until
Go and check it out.
2012, I think.
really? Wow.
Of course, yeah, over Telnet. I only had one dial-up line. It was a 56K line, but nobody ever called because
The internet.
long distance. The long distance fees are ridiculous, and nobody local wanted to dial up to a BBS anymore.
And nowadays, you don't even have long distance anymore. I think long distance has gone the way of the.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I actually started running that BBS on a Tandy 4000, I think it was. It was a 386 SX20 running DOS 5.
Now, I know, Mike, you probably remember this BBS, and it was famous all over the world, was Pirates Cove.
I heard of it. I never.
Oh, yeah. It was, if you wanted some pirated software, that's where you went to go. Or Pirate Bay, I think is what they call it. Pirate Bay.
Yeah, I think it was Pirates Bay. I had, you see, the plus side is, I had a buddy of mine who he had a local BBS. What he would do is he would do the whole phone freak thing and dial into various BBSs, and he would download all the wares and then put them on his BBS so that the local guys could dial in without calling long distance. Because you have to remember where I lived in York. If you were calling out of the immediate vicinity, it was a long distance. Even calling like 10 miles outside of where you were, ridiculously long distance, and it still is at this.
Trust
time,
me.
If you still use
Verizon. When I was in Germany, it was the same way. The further out.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, the further out you went, the more it cost.
Yeah, so dialing up BBS, and of course at 24 or 12 or 2400 baud, I mean, it would take you. It could take you hours to download something as small as, just say, DOS, which wasn't.
Really that's the reason why, and a lot of people, I'm watching a lot of chat here, a lot of people saying it's before their time. If you don't understand, back in the day, before the internet, we had these BBSs that were linked all together, and they were part of what they called FidoNet. Every person got a FidoNet node number, and you basically were in a little group in your area. So what happened is you'd have, like, for instance, Sierra Vista, we had about like 12 or 13 BBSs all clustered in that area, so people could dial in locally to those. And we had one person that was the FidoNet hub, and we would all send email to him at a certain time of the day. So we collect everything that everybody would type up to send to somebody, and it would dial to him one time a day and send it to him, and then he would do it in the middle of the night when the long distance rates were like the cheapest, and go to the long distance hub, and then it would basically hop, pretty much like that. It would take several days for your email to get to where it was supposed to go, but it got there.
Now, Mike, I see 2 hard drives in this one. Is this the one you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the one with the Wi-Fi card, right?
No, the one with the Wi-Fi card didn't have hard drives.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, then that must be it. I must have taken the Wi-Fi card out.
Yeah. This has no floppy drive, though.
Yeah. Who needs floppy drives?
Well, I'll boot it up after the show or during the show, and we'll see if we
Check
can
to see if
recover.
make sure there's memory in it. For some reason I seem to think I scavenged memory out of one of them.
There's memory in here.
Oh,
Let's,
okay.
2 slots out of the 4.
I
full,
guess.
So.
Then that machine, in theory, assuming I didn't screw anything up, should actually still boot into Windows, either Windows 2000 or Windows XP. I can't remember which. I think it's Windows.
I'm gonna plug it in while you guys chat.
There we go.
And it should bring up Delusions of Grandeur in Synchronet. I think it's Synchronet 5.
Oh boy.
For Windows.
It's not that much.
Okay, I gotta ask a question because I have no clue what a MUD is.
Multi-user dungeon.
Okay.
That was actually there was a couple of them for BBSs. One was Major Mud. It ran on major BBS systems. I used to run Legend of the Red Dragon. Basically, it's just an adventure game where it's a primitive version of World of Warcraft. Really.
Gotcha.
You know, people could either cluster together or sometimes you like with Legend of the Red Dragon, you would have BBSs that would transmit all their information to various other BBSs, and everybody would sync overnight, and then you could fight against people on other systems, and this, and you know, it's complex and convoluted, but for the time it was entertainment. It was fun as hell. You know, we used to spend hours doing that crap over 14.4.
Oh, I tell you.
And actually, I was telling Steve, actually, one of the reasons I got into Personal System 2s, besides my affinity for them from high school, was because they were the only computers that could accept more than 4 modems natively without any hacks and without going external. So, because I used to have a 6-line BBS running on a PS2 Model 80 with 6 internal 14.
I was going to say, how was you putting that many serial ports on there? Because
a lot of modems.
Well, they were just 14.4.
Oh, internals. But you still had to. You still had to assign COM ports to them. I mean.
Yeah, but the PS2 can natively handle 8 COM ports. Whereas a normal PC, like your generic off-the-shelf PC, can only
I was
do
going to
4.
say normally it was 4. So.
But between the 6 internal modems and the external serial port, which was the only one that ran a 33.6 modem, because when I'm dialing out, I want fast. So, not the 386.
Well, how did that PS2 handle that many modems at once? I mean, the multitasking had to be like, the load on that CPU had to be crazy.
Yeah, it actually did pretty. I ran under OS2.
That's all you had to say. I used to run OS2.
So the way I was doing it is, it was DOS-based software, so it ran on DOS. But of course, DOS is a single instance operating.
Well,
so
unless you run a DR DOS.
No, DR DOS. You're talking about synchronous DOS, where you can run. Which basically is made by Digital Research. It would run multiple copies, but when you're only working with 8 megs of memory, you're actually better off running OS2 because the memory management is better. So basically, I would have 6 copies of the same program running under OS2, 1 for each node. Each one would be assigned to a different COM port for a modem for one of the 6 nodes. It was a very complex and disastrous thing if you didn't know what you were doing, but truthfully, that's the way a lot of things were back in the 80s and 90s.
Hey, what's up, Javi? It's one of the guys I work with, so he's in here. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and subscribe.
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah,
subscribe.
smash that like button.
And eat it shows.
Smash that like button.
I can't say it like Bruce, man. Sorry, but he's got that Australian accent,
Well, yeah, but then he fakes one of ours.
That is true. That is true.
I always think that DR DOS is an antivirus for DOS. Dr. DOS. It's funny, when I first heard of DR DOS, I always called it Dr. DOS too.
No, DR DOS was.
I didn't realize that the DR stood for Digital Research.
Here's a funny fact too. A lot of people probably don't know this though. Is that DR DOS was basically made by Gary Kildall. Okay, Digital Research. It was his company name was called Intergalactic Digital Research. and then they shortened it to just Digital Research. But here's the funny thing though, is that he could have been the Bill Gates back in the day, but he screwed up because IBM came to him first and wanted him to sign a non-disclosure, and he's like, no, I'm not signing that, and kind of just said, played him off. And so they went to Bill Gates, and Bill Gates did not even have a DOS, because Bill Gates actually even told IBM, hey, go to Digital Research, and they got this thing that you might want to do. So then Microsoft had to actually buy a CP/M type system, and they basically just made it their own, and that's, as we know it today, that's history,
Yeah, well, but if DOS itself, like IBM DOS and MS DOS, is still, truthfully, it's still CP/M.
Well, yeah.
Because the QDOS, which is what Bill Gates bought, Quick and Dirty DOS, Quick and Dirty operating system, was just it was a modified version of CP/M that ran on Intel's 80 series processors. At the time, it was the 8080, but it was easily modified to work on the 8088 or the 8086. So, truthfully, even the version of DOS I'm running on this IBM next to me is, at its core, it's still basically CP/M, which Gary Kildall wrote back and released in 1974. So it's very crude, very primitive, but it works.
And
Mike, did you turn off your camera?
And Steve is showing you something there. I think he's
just making sure
it's an IEC power cable for some reason.
We're about to plug in your IBM.
Oh.
Okay. Well, when it explodes, let me know.
We'll see the reefer cap or something blow up, and he's like, ah!
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Light turns on.
That computer is just your basic, generic Pentium 4 machine, Greg.
System is
that is the most reliable freaking computer I ever owned in my life.
Here's the funny thing is that we used to run a system up on a mountaintop. It was a 286. We ran JNOS on. It was a ham radio software, and it was made for it's like a BBS for ham radio, packet radio, and we ran JNOS, and but we had a 286 up there, and it was up on top of a mountain inside a repeater shed for years and years and years, and those things are like tanks. You can't kill them.
Yeah.
The hell is it doing?
Yeah, so Sad Mac goes, oh, ham radio stuff. Yes, I am actually a ham radio operator. If anybody doesn't know, my call sign is KC7GNM. I've been a ham radio operator for close to 30 years now.
Oh, boy.
So, in fact, I think my license is getting ready. I need to renew it soon. So.
And if anybody else is interested, mine's N3RJK. I've been an amateur radio operator since 1992.
A little bit longer than me.
I got my license when I was still in junior high school. My dad at the time he had a general license. I think he has an advanced license now. I'm not exactly sure.
I want to say I got mine in 94 or 95. I think I first got mine, and I'm an extra class now, so.
Oh no, you know what? It was 96 because I'm a technician class. But I got mine when they did the no-code technician license.
I did the same thing. So, I did no-code tech first, and then I started off with that, and then I got the code. I did the 5 words a minute. I passed that, so I was Tech Plus is what they called it. And then I upgraded to General after I got back from Germany, because in Germany, because I was a Tech Plus, I had they only had 2 license classes in Germany. You had either no code or code. The code gave you all the frequencies you needed. The no code only gave you VHF, UHF. Okay.
No operating system, Mike.
Uh-oh.
So
dun, dun, dun.
That was a letdown.
I wonder if the hard drives are even plugged in.
So, but if you're curious, Action Retro, I actually have a video on my channel talking about packet radio on a Mac. I actually did one. It's part of my ham radio series I was starting to do. I only did one so far in it. I need to do some more in it. But yeah, I did a one on packet radio, or actually it's APRS. So, but it uses the same principle as packet radio. But yeah, I think you'll enjoy that video if you want to watch it, and especially trying to do it on a Mac is a little more difficult than doing it on a PC because there's so much more software for the PC versus a Mac.
Yeah, we used to. My dad and we used to use PK term way back in the day under DOS. He used to run a packet BBS.
Man, he's gonna make me go look for this now. So, but
Why you never, I think you were swapping machines here because you don't have enough power cables to use both of the hard drives.
Oh, then you know what? It must be the other machine that I used. I must have just swapped the hard drives into that one.
I don't know why. Maybe something broke on the other one.
Is that a ThinkCenter or a Net Vista? Because the one that I used to use was a Net Vista.
This is a ThinkCenter.
Oh yeah, that's not the one I actually used. That was actually supposed to be a replacement for the Net Vista because it was a little faster, it had a little more capabilities.
So maybe you put the drives in and then realized.
I think I put the drives in and never hooked anything up.
Well, we'll try.
Because they're just parallel ATA drives, aren't they? Or are they SATA?
No, they're parallel.
That's what I thought.
But all the power cables. Well, let's see if they'll reach now. I unplugged the CD drive.
Because I think that machine there has, I think that has SATA capability.
Yeah, there's SATA on. There's
Which
SATA power socket.
That might have been. I think the Net Vista didn't.
So maybe that's why
I was swapping machines, and then I ended up moving, and things just kind of got shoved in the corner.
Nah, really?
Well, when we moved, I kind of lost like half my office space, and then I didn't stay there very long anyway.
So actually, Retro, I just linked the that video for it's about 30 minutes long, I think. So, but it's not one of my. I need to get better at making my videos, but hey, it was there. At least I'm doing stuff. You know, we got one guy in here. He says he does stuff, but yes, we're gonna tease you there, Dana.
I do plenty. It's just not on
Yeah,
camera.
exactly.
Hey, I'm starting to do stuff again.
All right, now they're both humming.
Uh-oh.
I also do stuff and it's way out of sync. So.
Ah.
Well, it's because you need to do stuff with a better computer.
Yeah, I've got to get a
What
streaming
were you
station.
streaming on anyway? You could have been streaming on a Mac Pro.
It was a Mac Pro 1.1, but I don't have I don't have any encoding software on it, so it was going straight through YouTube. So that's why there was a delay.
Oh, you weren't using OBS or anything?
No, because it was running Mavericks, and I can't get OBS for Mavericks.
I gotcha.
That's why you should put Windows. I hate to say this, but put Windows on that 1.1, and
no,
you could probably.
I'm probably going to do that.
You know, actually, one of the good things about the 1.1, they're so restricted in terms of the Mac OS, but dude, they run Windows 7.
You can put Windows 10 on it, and it's like a modern computer.
Windows 7 on them. Hell, you could probably, if you really wanted to push the envelope, you could probably push Windows 10 on it. Which I don't know why anybody would want to put that crappy ass operating system on anything. I guess if you have to run something new, I guess.
Well, I have to use it.
Like Greg runs his racing game. I know that only runs under Windows.
Yeah, I have to do that for some of the games I have, unfortunately.
Yes.
You know,
I just bought an SSD and just did a fresh Windows 10 install because I was using Windows 8 and that hot mess was just breaking everything.
Windows 8 was the worst ever. Besides, ME was better than 8.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, I will. I will say it. ME was better than 8. 8 is
8.1. When they came out with 8.1, and they finally brought kind of like the start menu back.
Kinda.
That's what I was running.
Kinda.
Windows 8 was great. I'll tell you what, Windows 8 was awesome on a phone. It really was.
Well, that's because that operating system was made for a mobile platform. It was not made
it was not made for a desktop, and it
sucked royally.
Just like Windows, like Windows 10. I have no problems with Windows 10 on. I still run a Windows phone. My work phone is a Windows 10 phone, and it runs great except for the lack of apps. But if you look hard enough for stuff, you can find. Like I found a YouTube app that works. it's not an official app. I mean, like I have a Facebook app that works. It's not official, but you know it does work. It works just like Facebook does. I mean, for what limited stuff I use the phone for, I mean, that's all I really need. And I found a Google Chrome replacement because Edge sucks. So
Yeah, I like when you use Windows for the first time and it goes, "Are you sure you don't want to use Edge instead of Firefox?" And I'm like, "No."
Edge
Oh, no.
Edge is only used to download Firefox.
Yep, I went to Mozilla.org. And that's the only website that's ever going to see.
And it's funny too because now on Windows 10 it asks you, "You sure you want to not?" Yes, I do not want to use
That's what I
you.
was just saying. That's what happened to me.
It's like, no, I do not want to use you because Edge totally sucks.
oh my god, it's horrible.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's funny. I was on my phone the other day and I was doing something. Somebody sent me a text message with a link, and of course, you know, when I click on it, it automatically wants to load Edge, and it loaded up and then immediately crashed. And I tried this like 5 times and I'm like, screw this. I'm just gonna copy it into my Chrome browser. And, oh my gosh.
What's funny about Windows 8, the first time I ever saw it, my daughter bought a computer with it, okay, and then she was having issues with it, and I was a Windows 7 user at the time, so I knew Windows 7 back and forward, you know, and so she's like, I need to have some stuff fixed. So I'm sitting there trying to find the control panel. I mean, I'm like, where is the control panel? It used to be you could go click, click, boom, there, you know, and
well, now you can edit things in 2 different panels, and one has more settings
exactly.
than the other. So it's like
exactly. So I was like, ugh, you know.
Well, I think this machine hates me, Mike, so I'm turning it off. I can't get past the BIOS.
Really? Did you go into the BIOS?
I can't. I press the enter key and it just hangs there.
Oh.
Maybe it's drawing.
Actually, Distro Hopper, you don't need to have a OneDrive account to use Windows 10.
Yeah, you do the offline.
Exactly. That's what I do. I've never.
I mean, it's stupid. You have to trick it.
It's not a trick, really. You just say I want to use it offline.
I mean, in the early,
it's just a very hidden option.
No, it's not.
In the earlier versions, you had to trick it.
Yeah.
The first version, you had to unplug the Ethernet from it. Now you just click the other option or whatever.
Ooh, that's a good question.
What's that?
What is your list of essential software for a compact Mac with a 68,000 CPU?
That's probably Christopher Bourne.
System 6.0.8.
Yes.
All you need.
Push your luck.
After dark.
Yeah, don't try running
Put
System 7
After
on it.
Dark 2.0 on it so you can see the toasters.
Yes.
After that,
important.
everything else is relative.
All right. So Michael Richmond asks, if the Apple IIgs would have been the winner in the Apple computer lineage, what would the OS look like today?
Probably the same thing.
Here's the thing, though, is I don't think they would have
Similar.
stuck. I don't think they would have stuck with the 68,000 processor. They probably would have done the same thing. They would probably went PowerPC. They probably would have went, you know, Intel, and then now to ARM. They still would have been doing the same thing. So we'd probably still be seeing the same type of software.
I think they probably would have. They probably would have went to Intel sooner because, you know, Apple
because
Apple was swaying that direction, but they had all the Macintosh software. So if let's say there was no Macintosh or the Macintosh failed, and they continue with the Apple II line, the Apple II successor probably would have been on an Intel chip because that's where the rest of the 8-bit micros went.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that remember Steve Jobs actually crippled the Apple IIs at the time because the Apple IIs are actually more powerful machines than the early Macintoshes.
Better sound, better color. Yeah.
Yeah, the WDC chip that runs the Apple IIgs is actually a 16 megahertz chip, and they neutered it down to 2.16 megahertz because they didn't want it to compete with the Macintosh, which truthfully at the time the Mac was, we're talking 86, so the Mac Plus was actually so inferior compared to the 2GS. It was actually embarrassing, and it was a quarter of the cost. How much was a Mac Plus, Steve? $4,400, something like that. $4,500.
Oh, I think it was 35, something like that.
3,500. You could buy a fully kitted out 2GS with everything but a hard drive for just under $2,000.
Yeah, $2,600 for the Mac Plus.
Well,
Okay, so for about $600 or $700 less, you could buy a fully kitted out 2GS with the 12-inch color display and expansion slots. Oh my God, 8 expansion slots.
And color,
Can't
don't
have
forget.
that.
well, that was a Steve Jobs thing too. He did not
Oh
like
yeah, and it came
expansion
with a damn
slots.
keyboard too.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, so did the Mac Plus. That was the last one. After
Yeah.
that, they started making the keyboard optional.
Because you don't need it to use the computer.
Yeah, what the heck?
Well,
Type with the mouse.
that's like today's iPhones and watches now are not coming with the little power brick anymore, you know, because you don't need that anymore.
Officially, the watch. I'm sure they'll do it with the phone eventually.
Oh, it's gonna happen with the phone. Trust me.
Yeah, but truthfully, if you really think about it, how many of us can open up a drawer and find 5 or 10 of those stupid?
Oh, I got about 20 or 30 of them, dude. So
Well, I think the issue is with the phones that they're doing. Like they need, well, they don't need, but they highly prefer like the 12 watt or 20 watt or whatever, 10 watt chargers or whatever. So
Yeah.
you use it with an old 5 watt and it will charge. It'll just take it 24 hours to do it.
exactly, because I use an iPad charger for charging my phone because it does charge faster. I don't use those little small ones anymore.
Yeah, all the USB ports in my house are 2 amp, at least 2 amp.
Okay.
So nothing's charging slowly in my house.
So Christopher
Yeah,
Bourne asked, "Do any of you guys play with old Mac emulators, and if so, which ones?" Yes, I have Shaver. I've played that one with that one a lot. So that one actually works pretty good. But guess what? If you're running Catalina, not gonna work
don't
because it's a 32-bit system, and therefore Mojave was the last operating system it would work under.
Yeah, I
Sheep
use
Shaver is a good one, but you have to have an older machine. And then there's also another one called Macintosh.js.
Yeah, it's a new one.
It's a little, it's not fully developed, and there's still some limitations, especially when it comes to sound. But it's actually a pretty good running, and it's fast. It runs like you wouldn't believe on my Mac Pro, and I only have a 6.4 model, so.
And it's stupid. It's easy as pie to set up. You just download it.
You just copy it to the hard drive and just.
No, you don't have to. That's the thing with these emulators. You have to find ROMs. You have to set up this and that. This is all pre-configured. Because I use Basilisk or I can't even pronounce the stupid
Basilisk 2 for the
Basilisk 2, and it works. But like half the time, I have to open it up. I have to force quit it, and then open it up again just to get the darn thing to run. And then it freezes all the time. That's why I prefer the hardware, because at least if I'm dealing with the hardware, yeah, I know it's going to be quirky, but I know it's quirky to an extent, and I know how quirky it is, so I know how to work around it.
I'll tell you something, Steve. The best Apple II emulator you can get is Sweet 16.
Yes, that's a good one. Yes.
Now it's only 2GS, but it still works with Apple II disk and everything. So there's no real limitations. And it runs beautiful. I'm running Mojave, and it still runs fine on my computer. No issues. The only thing you have to find the 2GS ROM, which that's easy. There's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
And everybody wants a ROM 3 anyway. So
there's one called Virtual 2. You have to pay for it, but you even get emulated image writer output as a PDF, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
now I used to use back in the OS 9 days. I used to use one called Bernie to the Rescue.
Oh yes.
Now that was a full blown. Now we're talking on PowerPC, so that was a full blown Apple II emulator. It would even print to the serial port onto an image writer if you had, or even a style writer, if you had one hooked up. Because I used to still do a lot of stuff. Because a lot of my back in those days, a lot of my business software was still actually through Apple. I had a lot of stuff at AppleWorks yet.
Oh wow!
Because I had started way back in the mid '90s doing stuff. I started doing everything on an Apple II.
I just shared the link in the chat to Bernie to the Rescue and the Apple II emulator.
I don't even know if they still make Bernie to the Rescue or not. Sweet 16, I know, is now out of development now. They're not doing any additional updates or anything. But
yeah, Sweet 16 was based on Bernie, it says.
I don't think it needs any.
Yeah.
I think it's a rock solid system, but it probably will not run on the Catalina either.
It says requires 10.6.8 or later. Um, yeah, that's all it says. I don't know how long ago it was updated. Yeah, April 2014.
Yeah.
Did we cover Sean's question? He asked,
Uh,
what was the worst Mac we've ever had?
No, we did not. Oh, well, you go first, Dana.
Well, I have to think about this one.
Is there a bad Mac?
Oh, yeah,
God.
Macintosh TV is a pilot.
Well, I never saw one, never had one, so I can't.
Macintosh what?
TV.
TV. 8 megabyte memory limit.
Yeah, that thing was horrible.
Well, wouldn't you say the original Mac would be a terrible one because 128 megs?
The 128 you couldn't do
The
squat.
128K, not megs.
128K is absolutely useless. It's pretty to look at. And that's about it.
In hindsight, yeah, I would say probably one of the worst ones I've dealt with would have to be like one of the LCs or the Performas, and it's a very specific one because I got one. It was at some yard sale years ago, and no matter what I did to the machine, it would just freeze randomly. It would just, no matter what, it would just freeze. It was a 550 Performa LC, whatever the heck, one of the all-in-ones, and I'd do a fresh install of the operating system, swap out the hard drives, do this, do that, and it would just freeze. And it was back when we had dial-up internet, so I would install the OS, I install like Open Transporter or whatever I had to get online with, and all this stuff, or Mac TCP or PPP or one of those things, and I'd finally get up to something like, yes, I'm gonna get online, and then I'd select the modem and the whole thing would freeze, and I had to just reboot the thing and start all over. So that was a pain in the butt.
I think the LC2 is probably one of the worst ones I had.
Yeah,
I was going to say the LC or the LC2.
Actually, the LC itself wasn't a bad machine, and that was only because it was running at 68020. So it didn't really need the full 32-bit bus, whereas the LC2 and 3 were running 68030s. So
Clock.
no.
Yeah, that was an intentional crappy one.
Well, the 2SI and the 2SI and SE30 are kind of the same way, but that they're not actually limited permanently. They just have ROM bugs in them.
Yeah,
and that can be circumvented easily with the Mode 32 extension. But there was a Power Mac that I had that was, well, not the 4400.
Oh.
I actually liked my 4400.
I haven't touched the one I just got, but I think
they're boring looking machines, but they're really not that bad.
Are you gonna say the 6100, Mike?
It might be. Is that the tower?
No, that's the pizza box.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, the 6100 wasn't bad either.
Well, there
was another one.
I could tell you by repairabilities would be any of the thin iMacs, because those things are just horrible. Yeah. You can't do anything with them you have to take that, unglue it, and it's a mess. So,
or you could open an 8100 tower and just slice your hands open.
I think any of the modern iMacs are ridiculous because you can't upgrade them, you can't do anything with them.
You can upgrade them, but you have to actually break the seal on them and then have to buy new, double-sided tape to put the monitor back on. I mean, it's just they didn't make it like the older ones. I mean, the 2010s and 11s, where you could actually take the screen off because it's magnets holding it in, and then unscrewing everything, and you had plenty of room to work in there. If you wanted to throw an extra hard drive or SSD in there, you could do that. I mean, it was awesome. But the newer one, we having issues here.
Yeah, it's there it goes. Now it's good. I just had to refresh. Just YouTube being YouTube.
It's got to be YouTube because I'm not seeing any drop frames or anything. So
no, that's. Yeah, I was about to say
it was just YouTube.
With the 6100 mic, the gripe I have with that is it just has the one PDS slot. So you're obviously that was a design thing. They didn't want you to get a machine that, God forbid, you could plug more stuff into.
But it was also a cheap machine.
Yeah,
that's what people don't. The original 3 Well, the original 3 Power Macs were not that great.
No, they were speed bumped months after.
The PowerPC 601 was absolutely a horrendous chip to use. I mean, I used an RS 6000 with the PowerPC 601 chip in it for 20 years at work, and let me tell you, painfully slow doesn't explain how well that chip runs.
Hey, welcome Macintosh librarian. She finally showed up.
Even under AIX, it's horribly slow. Under Mac OS, it was ridiculous. It was painful. A 68040 could beat the damn thing. But people don't also realize the 6100 was the low cost version. The 7100 and the 8100, it was low, mid, high.
Yep.
So, but the thing is the difference between the mid and the high there was no difference. It was just one was in a desktop, one was in a tower.
Right.
Yeah.
But the other
both
thing
80 megahertz.
But if you really think about it, the 6100 was actually the superior model because it had the PDS.
Ooh, Google is getting a hit because Google Drive and Gmail, none of that's working. I was going to pull up. I had a PowerPC doc that I had a script for on Google Drive, and Mike was talking about the prices for the 6100 and whatever, and I was going to read them off. I all had them nicely organized, and
maybe that's why YouTube's having an issue because they're Google.
Yeah, there's something going on.
The 6100, I think, was only like $1,800.
Yeah, it was. Here we go. Let's see if we could.
1700.
Yeah,
1700. Okay.
Really
The 7100 was 2900, and the 8100 was 4250.
Yeah, so you and like I said, truthfully, out of the 3 systems, the 6100 actually, in a way, is superior because it had the PDS slot. So you weren't limited by the 10 megahertz new bus slots that the 7100 and 8100
Yeah.
You had that direct line right into the processor. So even though you only had the one expansion slot, it was way superior to what the other 2 had.
Yeah, and I have one of the Sonnet G3 upgrades for the 6100, and it slides in, and then on the side is a slot you could actually put a graphics card in. And so I actually picked up recently this guy. And this is an AV card.
Oh, wow.
So it has your DB15 that has S-video in and out. I never had one of these before, to be honest. So,
they're not very common.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy on eBay. He has a few of them. They're like $20. They're not bad, but the video resolution isn't that good. So,
well,
what'd you say, Dana?
Look at what you're dealing with, and it's 1993 or 1994 for crying out
loud. Yeah, but
I think my Radius has one of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's just. It's nothing too fancy, but the built-in video was usually fine for most people. But I'm eager to plug this in, and take it to world. So,
well, I think that's a 1 meg video card.
I think 2 megs, yeah, something
like
that.
Is it 2 megs? That's actually a hell of a lot of memory for that time.
Well, yeah.
PCs were only shipping with 512K graphics card, maybe a meg if you were lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a. Yeah, S-video in, S-video out. Where's the megabytes on? Yeah, 2 megabytes of video memory.
Oh, okay.
Support more resolutions and higher color. If you use the S-video in and out, it splits the frame buffer into 2 halves. 1 meg for graphics, 1 meg for video input. Okay.
So
yeah, but that's still not bad.
That was a question on the crappiest Mac. So what is? I'm going to ask a question because nobody's asked this one yet. What is your favorite Mac?
Oh gosh, I have a whole thing on my website about my favorite.
Quadra 700.
840 AV.
Than a Quadra 700.
I am going to have to say my 4,1/5,1 because ever since I got it, I actually had a 2017 27-inch iMac that I sold because this thing just outperformed it in multi-core. Now the 2017 single core outperformed it, but I was just using this more, so I actually never touched my 27-inch iMac anymore. Even though the screen, I love that 4K screen or 5K screen on that one. I loved it, but now I have my ultra wide monitor, so I don't have to worry about that no more.
And actually, for computers, my iMac G5.
I would say that's a pretty good one too, because I have one back here and I use it for gaming. That's what I use for UT.
Do you have an iSight or non-iSight?
No, I don't. I don't have an eyesight for it. I have the cinema display for it though.
Oh, you have a. Oh, you're talking about a tower. I said an iMac.
Oh, iMac G. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
my
don't.
1 gigahertz iMac G5.
I have one that's close to that, but it's a dual core or a Core 2 Duo. And it's
Oh,
got the
okay.
eyesight. It looks almost like your G5 almost, but it's
They're
a Core
identical.
2.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
case design's identical.
yeah.
And actually, I have a dual 1.8 G5 tower. It's freaking awesome too. I mean, that thing's fast as hell for a G5. I mean, it's obviously not going to hold a candle to my Mac Pro, but you know,
Yeah.
for a
Yep.
G5, I mean, I know there's faster ones, but the 1.8 is always been perfect for me, and I mean, it does everything I throw at it.
I have
Someone
several
said
favorites. My
but
obviously
Network
the
server.
first one, the 2SI was my first one, and that's been a favorite of mine. Um, and then I think my PowerBook 3400 was probably one of the two or three. Well, I would say between when you're talking stability, it was probably the second most stable machine I've ever had. And it would have been number one until I put OS 9 on it. But when it was running 8.6, that thing never quit. And then I still have a dual processor G4 800. That was a workhorse for me for many years. I really loved that machine. And then my two Mac Pros, first 1COM1, 4COM1 Mac Pros. Those are definitely among my favorites.
is that the one that you kind of tried to neuter with the pliers?
Yeah, yeah, it's sitting right here, the one that Jay fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't let Dana around your 4,1
Just don't
with
don't let me try and
pliers.
fix your North Bridge. Everything else I can do just fine.
Yeah. Just keep pliers away from Dana. That's he's dangerous with those.
Lord.
Hey, I got a question here from a friend of mine.
Sure.
He texted it to me. So he found recently, or somebody donated to him recently, a G3 iBook,
What
and
color?
he's been a
Is it white
PC
one
guy,
or a color one?
a white one, and he's been a PC guy for all his life, and he wants to know
Sorry to hear that.
what. Yeah, nobody's perfect. He wants to know what if he wanted to get into modern Macs, what would be a good system to start with?
Uh,
I'm
You
thinking
know,
I'd say
I'm
a
thinking like
classic
an
Mac Pro.
older MacBook or MacBook Pro.
I'm thinking like a
If you want a
2010,
laptop, I'd
maybe
say
a
a MacBook.
2012 MacBook Pro, maybe a 15 inch.
Hmm.
If you have the space, get a tower. They're plentiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that one guy got four of them for $400. Come on now.
I tell you what, if you really want something that's fairly modern and pretty decent in terms of like a desktop, 2012 Mac Minis are great.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I mean,
forgot.
I have one at work. Now, I mean, it's not going to play
problem is
Crisis,
they still
but
cost a lot.
Yeah, they retain their value.
Well, that's
They're,
because Steve Jobs licked it, you know.
but,
Well, it's because they were the last like fully upgradable Mac Mini,
yeah.
and
And
people still
unfortunately,
want them.
that's kind of helping them retain some value. But you know, they're
Mhm.
still pretty. I mean, I bought mine like 2 years ago for $225, and I thought that was a pretty good
Oh,
deal.
that's a good deal. Yeah.
It is a good deal.
You know,
Yeah.
and it even had the original box and everything. And
I mean, I
I've
still
used-
see them.
I use it every day at work. Now I've upgraded the memory. It's got 8 gigs in it, and that's only half of what it can take.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's got Catalina on it, which kills it. But I've ripped out the 500 gig laptop drive. I put a 120 gig SSD in it. I'll tell you what, that really lit it up.
Yep.
Does it have Thunderbolt on it?
Yeah, it's got Thunderbolt 2, USB 3. It's got a SD
So you could-
reader on it.
so you could theoretically-
I think it's a great system.
So
Yeah,
you could
sounds
theoretically run a external graphics card on that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get a Thunderbolt 2 enclosure, you can run a Thunderbolt graphics card, no issue, or a Thunderbolt display. I mean, it's only got the Intel HD 4000 graphics. I mean, they're okay, but it's
Well, you know,
slow.
I used mine as a Plex server for a long time, and it did just fine.
But I mean,
And it plays 4K YouTube videos just fine.
yeah.
Those Intel integrated graphics, once they got beyond a certain point, they're actually not too bad. This little machine
The
for being
4000
2012.
series, I think, is probably the start of the better ones.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of experience with the newer ones, but I mean, the Core i5 in that thing is it's not great, but I mean, it's very adequate. I mean, it truthfully, that thing runs. I'd say it runs on par with my 1,1 Mac Pro with dual quad core 2.66s in it.
I'd say that's pretty fair, yeah.
Well, I mean, my first Mac getting back into it was a MacBook Air, so I know Jay just, that's disdain or at least a bad taste in his mouth. But
well, that's because you gotta fix them.
I look at it this way: if you want to get started and you want something cheap and disposable, a MacBook Air wouldn't be a bad start.
It gets you used to the operating system. Once you get used to the operating system,
I look at it as an Air like it's a great starter machine.
Yeah.
It's like a Geo Metro. You want one for your kid's first car because if they destroy it, you're not out that much money.
Exactly. And if you don't like it, you're not out that much money. And the fact that they retain their value, you can still resell it. Yeah.
Because people want them. I think they're absolutely useless, but people really want them.
Yeah.
Every time the whole level of integration on those things just never sits well with me.
Yeah. That's the thing. If it works, it's a good machine. When it doesn't work, it's not a good machine.
Yeah, because ever since they started soldering the memory and the SSDs and everything, on the logic board, it's like, that's when Apple started going downhill as far as, making stuff like that. Because now when they came back with the new Mac Pro and had all the PCIe slots in it and where you could put all that stuff in it, I was like, wow, they actually went back to something you can actually upgrade yourself. The memory slots, you can put, 1.5 terabytes of memory in the thing. I mean, it's just ridiculous what you could do with that thing.
And I'll tell you right now, the only reason they did that is because they probably lost a buttload of money over the Mac Pro 6,1 with its non-upgradability.
Mm-hmm.
Professionals don't want that crap. They want to be able to, and not to mention the fact that they had a very high graphics failure rate because of the cooling design of the machine.
You mean the non-cooling of it?
Yeah. So people just, there's just certain classes of people who that kind of crap doesn't fly with. For the average consumer, a MacBook Air or a Mac Mini is going to be a perfect, or even an iMac is going to be a perfect computer for them. Because they're never going to do anything with it. And if they do, they're going to take it to a professional anyway. So, but for people like us, for your power user base, a 6,1 Mac Pro just ain't going to cut it. So, and the reason that Apple's soldering everything on the computers now is because they finally figured out, people are buying the cheapest ones we have, and then they're buying the upgrades themselves because they can do it cheaper.
Well, I mean, if Apple would
now if you just cut out the entire upgrade possibility, they have to buy the better one from us.
Yeah.
But the only problem is now that's going to turn around and bite them in the ass because they're going to send people over to the PC world.
Yeah.
Where you can buy a cheap computer for $900, upgrade the living crap out of it, and still smoke a freaking Mac.
And then you could Hackintosh it too. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's why people do it, because it's the cheapest way to get into a Mac usually.
It is.
To Hackintosh it.
So real quick, here's a follow up to
Mac than a Mac.
Here's a follow up to that question from earlier. Is there a resource where he could look up what he knows how to do in Windows and teaches him how to do it in Mac OS?
Apple used to have a very good site for people that were switching. A few years ago, they had like a Windows guide.
To be honest with you, switching.
Yeah, here we go. Mac tips for switchers. I'm going to put it in the YouTube chat.
To be perfectly honest with you, Dana, if you're switching from Windows to a Mac, there's very little differences in how things work.
Exactly, except for maybe the cut and paste I mean, there's just slight difference in the
As far as
you hit
where
control
to
instead
find
of
things, like if you're
the
used to
biggest
going to the device manager.
Yeah, well, you just go into the Apple menu, go into about this Mac, and just go into system
Right.
information.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
the
there's small
biggest
things like getting
difference
used to the dock and things, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The biggest difference is going to be the dock and the Apple menu.
and installing programs and uninstalling programs. I mean, because to be honest with you, uninstalling a program or app on a Mac is way easier than a Windows counterpart because
unless it leaves the file.
well, unless it's a Microsoft product that's on a Mac, because trying to uninstall Microsoft Office is a nightmare. In fact, I had to go look it up in Google how to get rid of Microsoft Office off of my computer because it puts stuff just like it does.
Puts crap everywhere, and it does the same thing on a PC, Greg.
Yep, I know. And it does the same thing here, but instead of them putting it all in a nice, neat little package, like a lot of the apps are for an Apple, because if the package is made specifically for an Apple, a lot of the programs just basically drag and drop into the applications folder, and that's it. That's how you install. And then when you want to delete it, you go to the applications folder and you throw it into the trash can. It's simple.
You know what irritates me the most about what Microsoft Office does when you install it is that it installs its own fonts.
Oh,
and I hate that. I hate that. Have we not gotten to the point yet where you can embed fonts that work on both platforms?
Well, it should be the same. I mean, font file's a font file.
It's supposed to be the same.
In fact, I've actually installed external fonts into Mac OS. So.
Oh, I have plenty of
them.
Yeah.
So.
It's.
And then
annoying.
The Finder is way superior than anything Windows has. I mean. To be honest with you, I found that my switch because I switched back when it was still Windows 7. Okay, and to me, be honest with you, Windows 7 was probably the best Microsoft operating system they ever had.
Besides XP, you're right.
No, it actually was better than XP.
Well, no, I should mean it as well. I should say as well as XP.
Yeah, because Windows 8 just went downhill. And I mean, it took a nosedive when Windows 8 came out, and then when Windows 10 came out, it kind of got a little bit of its ground back, and it's still not as bad. I don't think it's reached the part where it was up to 7, but it's not up to 7 standards yet.
It's nothing, as far as I'm concerned. There ain't a Microsoft operating system made that's up to 7 standards.
Yeah. And now the problem you have with Microsoft products is, guess what? They put all these ads and stuff in there. When you first install it, you got to go set up your privacy settings, and one of them is, I want less ads. I don't have an operating system in here. I
want 0 ads.
I want 0 ads. Yeah.
If I'm paying $200 for an operating system, better not show me any freaking ads.
Yeah.
I can get the Mac OS
exactly.
and not see a damn ad.
Exactly.
Anyway.
It's free, and you don't see one ad in it. There's no ads now.
And I hate to say, but that was one of the biggest deciding factors for me going back to Mac OS, is the fact that, first of all, I love Windows 7. Don't get me wrong, but I had nothing but issues with licensing on Windows 7. I would use it for a year. I'd buy the copy from Microsoft, and all of a sudden it would deactivate itself, say, this copy of Microsoft Windows is not legal. It's like, I bought it right from you people. It's like, how is it not freaking legal?
Well, that and putting
and
it...
trying to get a hold of somebody at Microsoft to resolve the problem. Oh, yeah, that's freaking...
Oh, here's another thing that it really burns me about Microsoft. Since we're going on the Microsoft rant right here, is...
Okay, let's rant.
When you have to reinstall Microsoft Windows on a different system, you take it off one system, put it on a different system, because the way it links to itself is by the hardware ID, because it takes the hardware that's available and creates a hardware ID. So it registers with their server, this is what your hardware ID. So when you put it on a new system, and even if you're not using the older system, you have to go and do the manual phone activation, which is a royal pain in the you-know-what. And I hated that, because it would sit there and read off the 5 numbers, and you sit there and say, okay, boom, 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 and it'd say, did you put in these 5 numbers? And they read it off like 2 times. And you're like, Yes, skip it, please. Go faster, because it would take you 30 minutes just to activate Windows.
I just had to do that with Windows XP on my Panasonic laptop the other day because I don't have a. For some reason, I can't get the network card working,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to. And believe it or not, you can still phone activate Windows XP. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I had to phone activate Windows XP because I had to reinstall a fresh copy on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it freaking took forever. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and then you're like, for instance, I bought back in the day. I bought 2 copies of the upgrade to Windows 7, and in order to install it by itself, you had to install XP back in time until someone figured out that you can actually install it, then put Service Pack 1 on, and then activate it, and it would work. So I mean, there was ways around, Microsoft, because I had an activation key, I had a registration key. I'm like, why are you making me go through this nut roll just to put Windows 7 on my system? I have to install XP first and then Windows 7? No, not doing that, because that leaves a lot of crap left over from XP. That and another thing about Microsoft, I would have to do it every year. I'd have to do a reinstall because it would start slowing down and start dragging. Even Windows 7 did this. It would start dragging, and the not the INI file, but the what they call it, the registry. The registry would get so big that it would basically it would slow the system down to a crawl, so you had no choice but to reinstall Windows. And that was a pain because there was no like time machine or anything. So once you reinstalled it, guess what? You had to reinstall all your software again, brand new. You're like, oh, this sucks.
There's no worse bloatware than Microsoft Windows.
Yeah.
Everybody complained that Apple needs to redesign the operating system, yada yada yada. OS 10, truthfully, yeah, I mean, we complain about it, but truthfully, OS 10 is much more efficient than Microsoft Windows ever will be. And Microsoft hasn't redesigned Windows since Windows 2000.
Yep.
They basically been building on it, and this is the same thing they did back in the 90s with Windows 95, 98, and Millennium, because those were still based on DOS. They were still just running on top of DOS.
Up until
now,
Windows 7.
98 was a good operating system, don't get me wrong, and I know there's people out there who are going to say, oh, Windows 98, it was a good operating system, but it was still based on DOS. Without DOS, there was no Windows. When Windows 2000 came out and was running on Windows NT, then they finally got their crap together. But now the problem is we're 20 years in, and they really haven't changed. It's still running on the same core NT kernel.
Wasn't 98 still based on 16-bit? Because that's what DOS was based on, if I remember correctly.
Windows 98 was
a 32-bit.
It was a 32-bit operating system, and even the underlying DOS was a 32-bit operating system. It wasn't a true version of DOS, but it still ran on top of DOS more or less. Because you could still drop into a command prompt and still run DOS applications and everything on it. So I mean, it had a 16-bit emulation mode, so you could go back and run all your old DOS programs. So, but once Windows 2000 came out, they still had limited support for DOS applications, but not like Windows, the older versions did. So, am I boring you?
No, it's just been about 10 minutes solid of Windows chat, and I'm just like, here's a question.
Yeah.
We got to bitch about something like your fuzzy camera.
Yeah, it's not focused.
Yeah, I just hey, has anybody put the new, what is it, iOS 14 on their mobile devices?
Yes, I have.
I just saw 14.01 release, so maybe soon I'll do it, but I haven't jumped yet.
Hold on, I'll show you.
Yeah, no, I'd like my phone to be able to work. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of problems with
So how's it now? Is that an actual final release? Or is
Yes,
that
this
still a
is no,
beta?
this is the final release. I don't put betas on my phone. I put betas on my iPad, but not my phone.
So
So is it
how is
is
it
it
since you have?
'It's
1401 now?
1401 is what I'm running right now. So it's,
Okay.
I mean, 14 was okay. I mean, I didn't have any issues with it, but I was having some Wi-Fi issues, and that was one of the things that 1401 supposedly fixed because I was having a few Wi-Fi issues for some reason. It
Well,
was.
did it fix it?
I'm assuming so. I just installed it tonight, so I'll find out in the next couple of days.
Well, supposedly, yeah, I got the update notification today, and they said that they were supposed to fix it. I haven't installed 14 yet.
I
I've
haven't either.
I've kind of been waiting because I probably have the oldest phone out of all of you guys, so
I
I'm
haven't.
still
Is
a
it a 6
little
or 6S?
6S plus.
Mine's 6S. So
So
I mean, I feel your pain.
okay, so we have the same phone, just
Yeah,
different screen
different
size.
size.
So
Yeah, because I saw
I've been a
Rocky
little.
say, um, I can't find the text here, but Rocky said something about like the spell check works again,
Oh,
or
really?
or suggestions works again.
No, it does not. I don't know
It
what
does
he's
not.
talking about because I always get the wrong stuff. Like for instance, I was texting my wife and I said something. I said Jeep. I was trying to type Jeep, and it changed it to keep Keep, and she was like, huh? I was like, I looked back and I'm like, Jeep, and it still said keep. I was like, no. So I had to go and hit the little X to stop it from saying keep
Yeah.
because it did like
Okay.
Jeep for some reason. So,
But it'll let you.
I'm
Before-
okay.
before you
and
leave.
guess what? I just got disconnected and reconnected to YouTube for some reason.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Google's taking some hits
Yeah,
right now. I don't know
I
what's
just saw it. It said disconnected, reconnecting. So it just reconnected, but I still have zero drop frames. So I don't know what's going on with
Well,
YouTube tonight.
probably a good time to end in a second. I just want to plug my shirts.
Yeah. So go ahead and we'll do our selfish promotion there. Shameless promotion. So go ahead, Steve.
So I'm putting a link in the chat now. So essentially, I could point the camera to the screen, I guess. I made these silly shirts, and it says, well, the stupid image is going to be small, but there we go. So thanks to Mike, because he pointed out that they should have a Mac Classic in addition to a Mac LC. But you probably saw them on Twitter. But it says essentially 2020, it blows harder than a 32-bit processor on a 16-bit bus, and got a few different colors there. So if you follow the link on my Twitter, you get a coupon code and all that fun stuff. But
I'm
I thought
pretty
that was
sure I ordered one of the Mac Classic versions.
Ooh. You have to let me know how they look. I ordered one, but like I said, they always delay mine as a creator for whatever reason. Mine are the rejects, probably.
There you go. You're the guinea pig.
Yeah,
Well,
the guinea pig.
I paid for express shipping on the first one I ordered.
Oh, don't do that, Mike. Did you hear me complaining? When I did express shipping, it never came. I had to complain.
Well, I got a
you-
tracking number, so if it doesn't show up as UPS's problem, I don't know why the hell they're shipping at UPS. For crying out loud. Holy
Mine
Lord.
wasn't. Mine was
That's-
mine was different. So you're probably gonna get yours on time.
I think mine came postal mail, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to say
Yeah.
I just got one the other day. I bought one of I bought one of Ken's blue screen of death shirts. I thought it was fun as hell, and yeah, I mean it came postal. Hell, they actually rolled it up and shoved it in my mailbox, which is amazing because my mailbox is tiny. So
Well, you know what it was? He didn't feel like leaving it at your door. That's what it was.
it's because I live on the second floor. They're not going to leave it at my door.
They don't want to come
My
up to the
mailbox-
second floor. That's it.
My
Yeah.
mailboxes are inside the building, though. So I mean, if they would have left it on the floor, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
Yeah. All right. Any more shameless self-promotion before we end the stream tonight?
Yeah, if you want to see more IBM crap, look at my channel this weekend. I got another video coming out.
Ah.
I got a sound card. Damn it! We're
Ooh.
going to see how a sound card on a micro-channel computer.
And what kind of sound card is it?
Nice.
AdLib? You said?
Yeah, it's an ad lib, and
Ooh.
unfortunately, god damn it, I wasn't the first one to do it. Lazy Game Reviews beat me to it by 2 days.
Oh no!
Oh, and on top of that, I actually need to redraw for the iBook because the winner has not contacted me.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
So tomorrow we're having a redrawing, and I think I am going to do it live. So
Nice.
Anybody who's watching, who entered my iBook giveaway drawing, there's going to be a second chance because the first person never contacted me.
Wow.
So
Yep. And speaking of giveaways, Mac Yak is still trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. We are at 831, I believe, as of today. So we're getting closer. We're getting very, very close.
Very, very close.
So we need to reach 1,000 before we reach our 100th episode. I think that's a goal that we need to put out to you guys. So tell your friends about us. Tell everybody. Say, hey, come and just subscribe to these guys. They're crazy. They're not professional. You know, hey, we may bore you, but we try to interact with you guys as much as possible there. So next week we should have some good topics, hopefully. So we'll see.
crazy tech reviews. It's going to be after 3 set. Oh yeah, I'm going to do it like 9 Eastern.
Yeah.
Or 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern time, like I did last time.
But
cool.
If anybody wants to know how to get into our giveaway, go watch episode 69. That'll explain everything. Episode 69 will show you exactly how you get into our giveaway. Remember, we're giving away a MacBook, a 2008 MacBook, white MacBook. We're giving away a $50 Steam card and an iPod Nano, right? I think is what it Mini. I keep saying Nano for some reason. I don't know why. So, an iPod Mini is being given away by Greg Rutke. I'm giving away the MacBook, and Rocky's giving away the $50 Steam card. So, if you guys want to get in on that, make sure you go in there and follow the directions to the letter. Otherwise, you won't get entered. So, all right. Dana, you got anything?
Do I ever?
No, you never do stuff. You never do anything.
Do anything, so why would he have anything?
No, I'm still, trying to get things sorted. I've got 2 computers to set up for web streaming or for live streaming, so that's going to be fun. Plus, I'm building a Minecraft PC for my nieces. It's almost done. So
and he's going to give out the links to everybody so we can all play on.
Doing quite a bit of things, but
So just in case anybody wonders, we're not anti-PC. We just really don't like them.
Yeah. That's why we're called Mac Yak, not PC Yak.
We tolerate PCs when we have to.
Yes. I have.
Or if they're old DOS-based IBM.
I have to tolerate it.
I
have to tolerate it because my racing game only runs on a PC. Unfortunately, it used to be a Mac version until they went to DirectX 12, and guess what? The Mac just doesn't support that. So, they stopped supporting the Mac. So, oh well.
When it comes to playing games or something like that, I have a Windows PC that I use for games. I play Minecraft on my Mac. Other than that, I don't hate using a PC, but as far as like when it comes to being productive and doing something for my graphic design work, I'm using the Mac no matter what.
Yep. All right, guys. So that's going to be. I think we're going to wrap it up here from now, and so we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, we'll have the whole gang back next week. Jay should be back. Bruce. Hopefully get Grudy. He hasn't been on it forever, so we're going to shame him right now. Grudy, you need to get back on here again. So
get that studio rewired.
Exactly. Stop making excuses for not being here.
What he said he was doing tonight.
And he was in the chat, so we know he's not doing anything. He could have been here.
Maybe his power got shut off and he got kicked out of the chat, so he's been
All right, guys. So we'll see you guys next week, and make sure you hit that subscribe button too. Catch you later. Have a good one.
Adios.